Hey guys, what's up? MadSeason here, back with part 2 of my Brawlers Guild guide. In this video, I'll be covering all of the rank 2 bosses, and that's Dippy, Build the Janitor, Sanoriak, and Master Paku. If you only need a certain one, check the description because I'll have some timestamps set up for you. And as always, as a point of reference, I'm doing these fights as an 870 balanced druid, so if you have anything close to that, you should have a similar experience. For all of these fights, I do recommend buying flasks, DPS food, and most importantly, heroism drums. You can also buy DPS and healing potions from the nearby quartermaster. And one last thing to note is that all of these fights do have enrage timers, so just keep in mind that you do need a fair amount of damage to be able to beat them. So far, it looks like it's 2 minutes for all of them. Anyways, let's start off with the first boss, and that's Dippy. There's only one ability you have to worry about in this fight, and that's his peck. This is a 1-second cast spell, only usable in melee range, and if he hits you with it, it does massive damage, most likely one-shotting you. But he does have a weakness, and that's the fact that any direct hit you use on him will knock him back, interrupting his cast. So the strategy with this guy is to use all of your instant or short cast spells to lock him into these knockbacks over and over. Keep in mind that they have to be direct damaging spells, so damage from dots won't trigger the knockback. For ranged classes, it's just a matter of kiting him, making sure to avoid your longer casts, and for melee, just make sure you have a steady stream of attacks. And if you are a melee class, make sure you don't pin him up against the wall to where he can't get knocked back or else he'll just gib you. That's pretty much all there is to it for this guy though. The only other thing you have to worry about is the enrage timer, so just make sure you don't neglect your damage too much. Next up we have Build the Janitor. The strategy for this guy will vary depending on what class you are. He'll continuously summon brooms throughout the fight, some attack you and some explode after 8 seconds, instantly killing you if you're near it. The ones that just straight up attack you are pretty negligible as long as you have enough damage to burn them down before they become an issue. The main worry here are his exploding brooms. My suggestion is if you have any sort of rooting ability is to use it on the exploding ones and just burn down the boss. The range on the AoE isn't too bad, so it's a good way to deal with them. If you don't have anything like that though, you just have to burn down the exploders as soon as they spawn. And the brooms themselves are susceptible to normal AoE attacks, so if you don't have the damage to just burn them down while ignoring the non-exploding brooms, that's also an option. So root or kill the exploding brooms as soon as they spawn, burn them down if you have enough single target damage to ignore the melee brooms, else AoE them down and you should be good to go. Fight number 3 on our list is Sanoriak. This guy has 4 abilities, and that's Fireball, Flame Buffet, Pyroblast, and Firewall. Fireball is just a generic cast, Pyroblast is a slower fireball that does more damage, Flame Buffet is a magic dot that deals damage to you and also makes you take increased fire damage, and Firewall is his one-shot mechanic. When he casts this, he puts a converging open-ended rectangle around you as you can see from this expertly drawn diagram. This will immediately start collapsing on you, so you have to quickly identify the open end and run through it. And if you fail to do so, it's a one-shot. That's pretty much his only dangerous ability though. If you master that, you should be good to go. Both Fireball and Pyroblast are interruptible, and if you had to choose between the two, definitely interrupt Pyroblast because it does some pretty extreme damage. Flame Buffet is also a magic effect, so make sure you cleanse that if you can. And one last thing to keep in mind is that for those firewalls is to make sure you stay in the center of the room as much as you can. If he casts that while you're near a wall, you run the risk of locking yourself in, so try to keep a fair distance from any walls. Anyways, fight number 4 on our list is really the first hard one I'd say, and that's Master Paku. This one is quite the unique fight. Upon engaging him, the room will fill up with a maze-like pattern of blue stuff, and you'll find that you're locked into auto-running. If you run into the blue, it's instant death. 3 Pandaren shades will be roaming the maze sorta like Pac-Man, and they'll be invulnerable and reflect all damage until you walk over an orb sorta like Pac-Man. These orbs will randomly spawn throughout the maze, so your goal is to reach them without hitting the blue stuff, and then burn down the shades while you can. Each orb gives you 15 seconds of DPS time, and you have to kill all 3 shades to win the fight. So it's pretty tough, it's a lot of multitasking, and it's going to be harder in certain classes. Other things to look out for is that while you're not in the DPS phase, the shades will occasionally use spinning crane kick, and if you get hit by it, it's massive damage, so you have to plan out your route to make sure you avoid that as well. You can pull a 180 if it looks like you're running into a trap, but it can be tough to stay out of the blue stuff. I recommend zooming out the camera so you have a good view of the arena so you don't get into that hole to begin with. But once you do get an orb, quickly locate the closest shade and start burning it down. For all of you casters out there, you can cast while on the move thankfully. Your bigger issue though is going to be lining yourself up so you're actually facing the shade, which can be tricky. It's hard to say if melee or casters have a tougher time on this fight. Melee has less DPS time because they have to travel to the shades, and casters have trouble facing the right way, so it's pretty difficult whichever you are. Plus you have that 2-minute enrage timer, so not only do you have to do all of this stuff, you have to do it quickly. And there's no real trick to make it magically easy, unfortunately. The only way to do it is to just do it. So avoid the blue stuff, avoid the spinning crane kicks, pick up all of the orbs, burning all cooldowns when you do and immediately damaging those shades, and do that for all 3 and that's fight complete. And with that, you should have moved on to rank 3 with the Brawlers Guild. I wish you luck with these bosses, and I'll see you again for the rank 3 guide. I hope you found this video helpful. Give it a like if you liked it, and if you really liked it, let me know in the comments and subscribe. And as always, thanks for watching, good luck, and peace.